What's up, guys? If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, please smash that like button on the video and enjoy the show. Because I don't know what they're telling us publicly versus believing privately. You know, what do you think of Grush? I was calling him Grush on some of the podcasts. I'm like trying to remove that from my vocabulary, but
what I think of Grush is he seems very credible, but we do know he was intelligence.
Yeah.
And intelligence are supposed to be notoriously good at being great liars too.
Deception.
Right? Yeah. Deception. Also misdirection. So I'm not putting it past any former intelligence or whatever, to be able to do something like that. And I'm not even saying that I think he's a liar. I think he's being very truthful, but you got to look at it for what it is. He is everything he says is hearsay. I was told this by someone who has been told this. I was told this by someone who says they have seen this. He is like, if you brought up someone who met someone who claims they saw a murder, is that person a good witness in a murder trial?
right. It's a valid question.
You know, so Grush, I'll be honest, I don't disbelieve him. I don't necessarily believe him. I believe that he's telling his version of the truth. But when you look at it, why are we making such a big deal out of what he's saying? Because that's like me literally saying I met someone who says that they saw someone who saw a UFO.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, for some of it is. I think there's a lot of layers to it, and then there's things that he directly at least had access to that he alleges. So, you know the guy Jesse Michaels, his channel used to be called American Alchemy. I think he changed it to Jesse Michaels now, right?
He did, yeah.
Yeah. So I had a chance to talk with him a little bit. He's going to come on the podcast at some point here.
Nice.
He's known Grush for like 3 years. Known him a long time. That's how he had the first, sit down with him and everything. And of course, like, I'm playing healthy skeptic with it because I have some of the same concerns you do. Again, he might just be doing his job. It might be that simple. People take this stuff like so personally, but like, I get it. It's a job that some people have to do. But the way Jesse explained it, and I'm sure we'll talk about it when I have him in here to have him expand on it properly and do it justice, is that he believes that it doesn't mean 100% of what David says that he's seen will turn out to be true, but if it were just a pure deception, the layers to this thing are insane. And he thinks it's not possible that it would just be a pure deception because of the how many different pieces of evidence he allegedly uncovered. And he spent a lot of time with them too. Doesn't mean he's a human lie detector, just like you and me aren't. But you can take that for what it's worth. I'd be curious to talk with the guy for sure. Not even necessarily on camera, but I would love to have a conversation with him just to get a feel for it myself. Because we all heard him on Jesse's show. We definitely all heard him on Rogan's show when he went on there. It's interesting. It's very interesting. But there's always going to be that kind of cloud there.
I think what also is interesting about it is, like, as someone who's been looking into these deep rabbit holes that is the UFO conspiracy. And real quick, I want to come back to one of my gripes about the UFO conspiracy. But when it comes to this, what Grush is saying is not something that's revolutionary news to people who have already believed in a lot of this stuff. Oh, there's crash retrieval programs. So what you're saying is that there could have been a program that would have covered up Roswell, So... and among many other incidents, right? Like the Kecksburg UFO incident. And so, I think what he's saying is almost just validation to people who have been saying this for a long time, that there's a crash retrieval program that covers up UFOs, goes in and takes it, like in the Virginia UFO incident case. Maybe that's the connection back to the program.
That's what he thinks.
Gotcha.
That's what James thinks.
Yeah.
I know that.
So yeah, I think it's validation for that, but it's also, I think, tells me that we've got a long ways to go, because it's great while it's being talked about in Congress now. At the same time, we've got a long time to go before they're ready to hear about Antarctica Nazis. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, and it gets a little, there's so much content on it now too of people who are claiming to have knowledge of it. And that gets dicey too. Because again, it's like we were talking about with ufology earlier, right? Just in general, once there's money signals in something, it gets, it brings the grifters out. It brings people who are like, oh, I can tell this story. People will believe me, and that gets a little hard. And it's hard sitting in a seat like I do, or even a seat like you're starting to sit in now with your podcast. It's like, okay, what do you entertain? And to what degree are you a useful idiot at times? I think some of that's inevitable, but you don't want to walk into it knowing that's 100% what it's going to be. And that's tough sometimes. So I'm sure there's podcasts that like I've even turned down that, maybe I should have done, but I try to be careful with that. I take, like, on a side note, like I take like the CIA spooks with like a different grain of salt, because like that's their title. It's what they are. So I have them sitting right in front of me. Y'all be the judge of that, right? Like, they're going to say what they're going to say. You're going to agree. You're going to disagree. But you know what they are. When it's other people who may be claiming specific intelligence on specific events or something that are saying like, oh, yeah, I work there or something like that, that's where it gets weird for me, because it's like, well, did you? And are you a spook? I don't know. And it's it's a hazy area, but we just did a lot on Nazis and UFOs.
Dude, I feel like I'm trying to challenge myself to not say Nazi anymore.
I know. That was way longer than how long were we on that? Like an hour and a half or something. Holy shit!
One thing I want to say about the UFO
We're still on it. Here we go.
Is what's crazy to me about it is that it seems to try to take credit of every conspiracy, which makes me inherently skeptical of the phenomenon.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, any conspiracy you thought of, JFK, there's a UFO connection. I have a whole video about that UFO connection. There's probably UFO connections to name any other conspiracy. I don't want to name the ones that are coming to the top of the head, because those are ones that get demonetized by YouTube. But I'm sure there are sects of the UFO community who believe that they're responsible for all of that. So
sure, absolutely.
That makes me inherently skeptical a little bit of the UFO, these rabbit holes that people go down sometimes,
Even without what we were talking about earlier, where it turns into tribes and it becomes religious in a negative way, remove that for a second.
Yeah.
Ufology itself is inherently, involuntarily, a religious type, no pun intended, phenomenon. Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.